Mike Flynn's in a lot of trouble. He was the national security advisor for Donald Trump. Now he's being investigated for his ties to the Russians. Of course, he was fired. Donald Trump keeps complaining that people have been very unfair to him. Hey, dude, you fired him. I didn't fire him, you fired him. Okay, so Sally Yates is now testifying in Congress. Who is she? She was the Deputy Attorney General under Barack Obama, and actually for 10 days under Trump, she was the acting Attorney General for Donald Trump. Because now obviously it was a transition period. He didn't pick her out of the blue. She was the Deputy Attorney General, and when the Attorney General stepped down, he allowed her to continue. She defied his order on immigration for legal and constitutional reasons, and he was furious and he fired her and then put his own person in. But one of the things that Sally Yates had done in that brief period of time is warn the Trump administration. She didn't go public with it. She warned the Trump administration internally, hey guys, be careful. Mike Flynn has talked to the Russians and talked to them about sanctions, and he told Mike Pence, the vice president, a different story. Mike Pence is publicly saying something that's wrong. In essence, she's trying to help them, saying, be careful, guys. Don't have Mike Pence say that. It's going to get you in trouble because Mike Flynn isn't telling the truth. So in her testimony today, she said, to state the obvious, you don't want your national security advisor compromised with the Russians. A fair point, it seems. One more description from the Washington Post. She explained that the Russians also knew about what General Flynn had done. And the Russians also knew that General Flynn had misled the vice president and others and created a situation where, quote, the national security advisor could essentially be blackmailed by the Russians. That's what she testified today. In fact, I want to give you some of her testimony afterwards. I'm going to give you Donald Trump's reaction, which of course, as usual, is predictably hilarious and wrong. So let's watch Sally Yates.
I had 2 in-person meetings and 1 phone call with the White House counsel about Mr. Flynn. We began our meeting telling him that there had been press accounts of statements from the vice president and others that related conduct that Mr. Flynn had been involved in that we knew not to be the truth. We also told the White House counsel that General Flynn had been interviewed by the FBI on February 24th. Mr. McGahn asked me how he did, and I declined to give him an answer to that. And we then walked through with Mr. McGahn essentially why we were telling them about this. And the first thing we did was to explain to Mr. McGahn that the underlying conduct that General Flynn had engaged in was problematic in and of itself. Secondly, we told him we felt like the vice president and others were entitled to know that the information that they were conveying to the American people wasn't true. We told him the third reason is because we were concerned that the American people had been misled about the underlying conduct and what General Flynn had done. And additionally, that we weren't the only ones that knew all of this, that the Russians also knew about what General Flynn had done, and that this was a problem because not only did we believe that the Russians knew this, but that they likely had proof of this information. And that created a compromise situation, a situation where the national security advisor essentially could be blackmailed by the Russians. Finally, we told them that we were giving them all of this information so that they could take action, the action that they deemed appropriate. I remember that Mr. McGahn asked me whether or not General Flynn should be fired. And I told him that that really wasn't our call, that was up to them, but that we were giving them this information so that they could take action.
So now that seems very clear, but Donald Trump's not having any of it. Before she even testified, he yelled into Twitter, ask Sally Yates under oath if she knows how classified information got into the newspapers soon after she explained it to the White House counsel. He originally misspelled counsel. They had to spell check the man-child. And by the way, the Republicans are like, oh yes, sir. Now this is supposed to be an investigation about what happened with the Russians. But since Donald Trump publicly asked the Republicans to grill her on his pet peeve issue, well, here comes the Republicans to do exactly as Trump commanded them. Let's watch.
So for both of you, yes or no, as far as you know, has any classified information relating to Mr. Trump or his associates been declassified and shared with the media?
Not to my knowledge.
Ms. Yates?
Not to my knowledge either.
Okay. Have either of you ever been an anonymous source in a news report about matters relating to Mr. Trump, his associates, or Russians' attempt to meddle in the election?
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Did either of you ever authorize someone else at your respective organizations to be an anonymous source in a news report about Mr. Trump or his associates?
No.
No.
Okay.
So Trump tells him on Twitter, hey, ask these questions. Grassley, pretending to be an independent Republican for a long time, like, oh, I'm my own man, I'm a senator. Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir. How about the leaks? How about the leaks, huh? How about the investigation of what Flynn actually did with the Russians? No, of course, the Republicans tried to distract with, oh, no, the problem isn't that he had deals with the Russians. The problem is that we found out about it. Ooh, it gets terrible to get your hand stuck in the Russian cookie jar. So Trump also tweeted, General Flynn was given the highest security clearance by the Obama administration, but the fake news seldom likes talking about that. Okay, well, let's go to Talking Points memo. 3 anonymous Obama administration officials who spoke to NBC confirmed that Obama, who fired Flynn as the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency in 2014, warned Trump against bringing him into this highly sensitive role. So now Trump says, oh yeah, they gave him clearance. You left out the part where they fired him. And it turns out before Obama left, he tried to help Trump. Again, like Yates, gave him a private, not public, a private warning. Hey, watch out for Flynn. He's not gonna help your cause. One of the Trump staffers acknowledged that Obama in fact did warn them. One of them said, well, we thought he was joking. Why would you joke about that? What kind of a weird joke would that be? Like, I got a really great one for you, Donnie. Your national security advisor works for the Russians. Maybe a moron like Trump might think that that was a joke. Well, it turns out, Donald, the joke's on you.
Our journalism drive is almost over. It ends in Trump's first 100 days. We need to hire more reporters and more watchdogs. Let's do that right now at tytnetwork.com/go.